Maui went missing this morning for like hours. And he doesn't normally do that. I let him out like of the tiny house this morning, and then I grabbed a leash to immediately put him on his tether because he's been kind of taken off a little bit. And then he was just gone. And like I was calling him, I couldn't hear his collar jingling. Like it was weird. Like he didn't chase after something. I know that because if he does chase after something, I can hear his collar immediately. Well, we found out what it was. So towards the garden, which is the area behind me, I'm not going to film it vlog style like this because the snow is just too unsteady. It's a deer carcass on our property, real close to the tiny house. So let's go check it out. So just for record, that building right there is the tiny house. So that's where I live. And so we go down, like if you walk down this path, right, then behind me is the garage. But we are going to go down this path and we're going to go and check out what's going on over here. Okay, so how did I know that this was over here? Well, my parents were up walking because it's actually really nice this afternoon. It's really sunny. And, oh my gosh, although the path is quite unsteady. Don't worry, I have the camera on my neck, so hopefully I don't bite it. Walking down this path here. I don't have my snowshoes on or anything. Kind of wish I did have my snowshoes on. But anyway, my parents were up here like just now and they were walking their dogs and their dogs found it. So that's what Maui was into this morning for a couple hours. Don't worry, he's okay. And yeah. So I was actually just over here filming just a few days ago. And, I mean, you folks haven't seen this footage. You'll see it right after this footage. So this is the shelter that you folks are actually going to see next. And I'm not seeing anything so far. This is just a tree that we cut down a while ago. My mom said it was on this path, like towards the garden. I don't have Maui with me because I don't want Maui to get into anything. But I mean, it should be fairly like obvious. Was it on the way to the garden? Or was it just beyond the garden? Not really sure. Let's go this way and see what's up. What's over here? There's lots of footprints over here. Lots of dog tracks over here too. Let's take a look. Is it on this side of the garden? Not seeing anything. Lots of tracks here though. No people tracks though going this way, just dog tracks. It's not this way. This is the direction that I thought it would be in. Okay, let's try not to bite it. This is the garden. And it's not in here. So where is it? I'm not super sure where it is. I haven't found it yet. I mean, it should be pretty obvious. I don't have a dog to like show me where it is. So we're gonna go through the shelter here and we're gonna look sort of over this way where we like, I don't know if it's in between the shelter and the garage, or if it's on the other side of the garden, or maybe it's that way, like behind me more. Okay, so I kind of like looked over here. There's nothing really over here. I looked on the other side of the garden. Nothing on the other side of the garden. So we are going to just continue on here. We're actually going to go left. I wish I would have brought the walkie-talkie. I'm regretting. I should have brought a walkie, because then I could ask them, like, where is this? Okay, so let's try left. So this is just another path around our property. Oh, I think I see it. All right, so I found it. Trigger warning. There is a deer carcass. It was gotten by probably either a cougar or a bobcat. They do exist around here. And it was very interesting because a few nights ago, I was hearing the dogs go crazy. Not my dog, because he sleeps inside with me, but behind me on my neighbor's property, she has a livestock dog, and he was barking at like 2 in the morning, like really, really, really crazy. And also my neighbor's other dogs were on the road and they were barking like crazy too. So I'm wondering if they were maybe barking because the deer was getting taken down. I'm gonna go and take a look. I am gonna film it, but I don't know if I'm able to put it up on YouTube. Probably not, because it might be a bit too much for, you know, some viewers, and I don't know if I have like younger viewers, so I'm probably not going to post the actual footage of it, but yeah, I'm going to go take a look and then we'll report. Well, I guess we know where Maui was. So, what we're going to do now, I mean, dogs get into stuff when you live in the middle of the forest, I guess. I'm going to try really hard not to I'm facing it so that it's not on camera, because again, I probably am not going to be able to post the footage on YouTube. It's kind of cool. It's weird. I wouldn't have probably said that if I'd still lived in the city. I mean, we're really, really close to life and death out here. It's just, that's just how it is. So, as for Maui, because my dog was probably chewing on it, and my parents' dogs were definitely chewing on it. So, I've already given the vet a call. I just switch arms here because I don't, just like my phone, I don't have like a fancy, you know, like I'm just holding my camera up with my hand, with my arm, and I'm getting strong arms. But anyway, so I've already given the vet a call, and basically we're like next week, I'm just going to go to the vet and give Maui some worm pills, both for roundworms and tapeworms. And we're going to give all 3 dogs like worm treatments, just because they live in the forest, they eat strange things all the time. We're gonna sit on the wagon because it's one of the few places where we can actually sit down on the property right now. It's so nice. It's so foggy, but so nice. So we are in the shelter, and I'm not the one who built this. My parents built this, but it's one of the few places on the property that is like sheltered from the weather, that is outside, and that is also like dry. And by dry I mean like the ground is dry. The ground doesn't have, you know, 3 feet of snow on it everywhere. There's actually going to be a house built this year, like right behind me. So this isn't gonna be forest anymore. As I was working on this series, Alternatives to the Grid, I really realized that I needed to go back and start thinking about, what does self-sufficiency even mean? Self-sufficiency is just thinking critically about where our food, water, shelter, electricity, and heat for our homes is coming from. Do we have backup systems in place? For example, do we have a wood stove in our house? And I'm not saying that everyone needs to have a wood stove at all. We'll talk about it throughout this series. I'm so excited. And that's not even to say that we need to have a backup system for every single thing. Of course not. But that's really, you know, identifying key areas in our lives where we may need a secondary way to heat our homes. We may need a secondary method of food production. We may need a secondary place to get water so that we are, less reliant on these very delicate systems that are susceptible to price changes, increases, I think of self-sufficiency as, how when you are investing, whether that be like in the stock market, when you're investing your money, they tell you to diversify your portfolio. In my mind, self-sufficiency is like diversifying your life. It's essentially, instead of having one method of food production, let's say, which is the grocery store, we still go to the grocery store for things that we need, but we also have a backyard garden, and maybe later on we can add, some canning supplies of stuff that we've grown in our garden and now keep in our pantry as like a backup. That's, just an example. If the price raises on the heat that we use to heat our homes, how can we have an alternate method to heat to stay warm? And so for me, that's why self-sufficiency is important. That doesn't mean that we have to be completely and totally isolated, living in the middle of nowhere, without community. Absolutely not. But I'm so excited to explore all of the different ways that we can add little bits of self-sufficiency into our lives. I became interested in this topic, ironically, after I moved away from the city. So in the city, it was so easy for me to not have to worry about being self-sufficient because there was always someone there to fix it. If the power went out, someone was there to fix it. The water went out, someone was always there to fix it. Which was kind of silly because in the city, like I didn't have the same access to things like water like I do out here. Whereas out here, if the power goes down or the water goes, water's a whole different thing out here, but if the power goes out at least, then yes, it will be fixed, might take a while. And in the meantime, if it's really cold and you don't have an alternate way to heat your home, it might just be really cold. So as I was thinking about talking about, being self-sufficient and how we're self-sufficient, and I realized I didn't talk about why I want to be self-sufficient. And a big reason for that is because in the city, I was living in scarcity. It's really easy to say that if you're living in scarcity, to just practice gratitude. But it's really difficult to practice gratitude when I couldn't afford food. When I was in the city, there was always never enough food, never enough heat, never enough money. Money is the big one. And so I started thinking to myself, how can I live a lifestyle of, abundance? Like, how can I make sure that I have enough food, have enough heat for my home, have enough money? And I think the key for me is being more self-sufficient. That's how I can start living less in scarcity and start living more in abundance.